precise symbol of Augustan pride, peace and power. From its erection in 9 BC to the dedication of its own museum in 2006, the altar of Augustan peace has long been a powerful symbol of Imperial Rome. Ornately crafted from marble, it is also a classic display of Roman religion, Roman craftsmanship, and Roman military might. Following his safe return from Hispania and Gaul, the altar was dedicated to Augustus as a memorial to his imperial success. It was first erected in the northern Campus Martius, just outside the city walls. The Campus Martius served as a training ground for the legions, and the placement of the altar here cements its military links. Also at the site stood an obelisk that served as a sundial, which on Augustus's birthday pointed at the Ara Pacis, thus evidencing the importance of Augustus and how strongly linked his memory was to the altar. The architectural design of the altar also holds significant interpretations. When voted for by the Senate in 13 BC, the architects were given no design restraints. The altar itself stands in the centre on a raised platform reached by steps. Surrounding the altar are 4 walls dedicated with friezes of mythical, imperial, and religious significance. The steps are thought to signify the ascension from our world to a spiritual plane, whilst the roofless walls put no barrier between the worshipper and the gods, perhaps reminding them of the gods' higher power over them. In his Res Gestae, Augustus notes how the Senate ordered the magistrates, priests, and Vestal virgins to offer annual sacrifices. Despite its military links, its religious purpose and overall presentation aimed to memorialise Augustus's ushering in of a new age of peace, following the Civil War and the issues that came at the end of the Republic. However, this does not refer to a warless peace in the modern sense, but rather simply a united Rome in control of its empire. Thus, although it is the altar of Augustan peace, its military importance cannot be overlooked. The Ara Pacis became crucial to the ideal, and was restored and located to a more central location in Rome. The panels explore an overarching human theme: love of family, country, nature, the necessity for war, the quest for spirituality, and finally, the enduring loyalty to family, country, and to the divine. All of these contribute to the ideology of what it means to be Roman, the Romanitas. The panels, therefore, would have been a way of reassuring and reinforcing the ideals of Rome, whilst also reminding Romans not just of their legacy and divine past, such as Romulus and Remus, but also would have been a tribute to the growth and power of Rome. It stabilised and strengthened after political instability of the late Republic. The most significant panel to discuss is the processional friezes, split into 2. Both take up sides around the north and south walls. The action of the procession still remains unclear, with differing interpretations. The procession itself begins with the priests, the cult attendants, the magistrates, and then finally the women and children. It depicts the entire imperial family on the south sides, and the figures themselves are formally dressed in proper togas or palas. The men and women then formally and solemnly process together in a lively and animated fashion. The children are playful and sometimes boisterous, as shown by one of the women trying to silence them, and they continue to process in a very familiar way. They are shown to be at ease. Significantly, Augustus leads the procession and is presented as veiled in his priestly garbs and wears a laurel wreath on his head. The scene seems to find its climax around the princeps, as all participants turn their head to face him. The other indisputable figure on the panel is that of Agrippa. He is also portrayed with a veiled head, but does not wear the laurel crown. Instead, he has a parchment scroll in his hand. Some have suggested that the placement of Agrippa acts as a physical diversion between the state and the members of the imperial family. Agrippa was the empire's strongman and the main contributor to achieving the victories upon which Rome founded its peace. He was also the princeps' great friend, son-in-law and father to Gaius and Lucius. He served as an important figure because he brought significant changes that benefited every level of Roman society, such as building the aqueducts, Vergo and Julia. The panels of Romulus and Remus celebrate Rome's early mythological beginnings. For a civilization that thought of its beginnings in such a nostalgic way, this particular frieze, in conjunction with the rest, would have instilled a great sense of patriotism in the Romans. It was a devotional panel to the foundations of Rome, and was perhaps intended to be linked with Augustus's work on restoring the hut of Romulus and Remus on the Palatine, and reviving the ancient rituals. The link between Augustus and the founders is highlighted not only through his bloodline, of which he claims his descendants from Venus, but also spiritually, as he was later bestowed the honour of Pater Patriarch. The panel of Tellus also remains a mystery to us. Some historians have argued that she is a personification of Italy, whilst others suggest that she is Mother Earth, or a representation of the Pax Romana bestowing prosperity on the people of Rome. Regardless, she remains an ambiguous figure, and to be interpreted as one may.
Augustus's account of what he did is a practical toolkit for how to be a Roman emperor. But the ideology behind it all is best represented on another monument he put up celebrating Pax, peace. So this is an altar of peace. It's celebrating the security and the prosperity that the Roman Empire can bring. But it isn't really peace in our sense of the word. This isn't about the absence of fighting. It's about peace that is the result of fighting. This is peace that has been won by victory. Really, this is an altar of pacification. It's also more than that. Built out of marble by the best artists in town, you couldn't miss the messages here. The walls around it are covered with friezes, some depicting Augustus with his family, carving the imperial dynasty into stone. And some of the images spread the idea of his divine birthright, projecting his lineage all the way back to the mythical founders of Rome. On either side of the main steps, there are two different versions of Rome's ancestry. On one side, the wolf with Romulus and Remus, and on the other side, Aeneas, who's just arrived in Italy from Troy. There's a special resonance for the emperor here, because Augustus claimed to be directly descended from Aeneas. But there's an even bigger point if you take these two scenes together. On the one side, there's Romulus, who welcomed into his new city outcasts and runaways. On the other side, Aeneas, who really did come from abroad. The message about Rome's origins is clear. Rome was always foreign.